picture, there are ways of coming out. Government is conscious about it. The entrepreneurs, the bankers, all are conscious about it. It's not a surprise for anyone. Now, how we take uh, systematic steps in order to come out of this particular situation is something that we are discussing just now.
Shri Dhruv, this is finance is always treated as very, very important and critical aspect of any venture. Whether in short run or long run, this is also termed as lifeblood for MSMEs or for any kind of venture.
Yes.
When situations are so bad, when companies are closed, when even financial institutions are not operating in 100% capacity, what do you think? How they will be managing their finances? How they are managing their people even in the lockdown situation? Because when lifeblood is in critical position in difficult situation, how SMEs are managing this? That is the one part. Second part would be what they should do in this situation.
Again, a very interesting question, and one very, very simple thing which I would say: cash is the king. Try to be liquid and manage your cash flow. The person who is able to manage his cash flow will be finding himself in a much comfortable position. It's not only cash flow. In fact, you will have to think de novo in a sense that how to raise the resources, because you certainly know what are your obligations. So you'll have to search for surpluses from wherever they are. If you have to go in for recoverables, give them 5% discount if the money is coming fast. If you have got inventories which are lying, try to get rid of them. Try to get liquidity as much as you possible can from your business cycle immediately. In fact, a good businessman, as it's always said, but many good things are said are never followed. But there should be always a contingency fund that in case, when we teach people, we always tell them that have some contingency for the bad days, for the rainy day. But when the rainy day actually comes, you find the first thing missing is the surplus to take care of the contingencies, because the business needs us. So when you are growing, you need every penny, so use it up. Now, in a situation like this, you really badly require. Now, many ways of doing it. One of them is that if there are certain non-moving stocks, you try to get rid of them. If there are certain recoveries which there are disputes, try to settle them and try to get. If you have to make payment, go and tell him that I'll pay interest later on, but don't insist on payment just now. You can go to your banker and say that why don't you release some extra money? And now the government has told the bankers to help the MSME sector, and they, in fact, they will still not come out with a very concrete plan, which they were supposed to come out, but we are still waiting for that. Now, if they have got certain plans, you try to release some of my working capital facility. Some people even think in terms of selling off their extra assets. Some old machineries are lying, or some piece of land which is not going to be used immediately. You try to sell it off. You bring in your own capital if you have got, but bringing in capital is not always easy. Normally, one assumes that the entrepreneur in all his money. You can borrow money, but borrowing, be very careful. Because the persons who are giving money are not giving it for free. They will be looking for interest. They will be putting their own terms of repayment. So you can buy time now, but after 3 months, after 4 months, you'll have to repay them. At that time, think whether you will be having enough surplus to repay the amount which you have borrowed during the crisis period. So look at your cash flow in future also. Don't make any commitment which you are not going to be in a comfortable position to repay, because the plants have not worked, the workers are not going to come, so you are going to require more than normal working capital. There are companies which are trying to offer premium or some incentive for the workers to come back, because the fear is such The fear is that I will catch a particular disease and it will be very difficult for me to survive. I don't know how valid such a huge fear is, but then it is world over. Everyone is much scared, and whether COVID is as serious or not is a question which is arising. Well, let's keep that issue apart. The fact is that people are afraid. The fact is that workers are not so much willing to come and join. You'll have to pay them more. You'll have to get in fact, the machineries, when they are not used for 1.5 months, to restart the machineries many a times is difficult. Sometimes the person with whom you have been doing the business may not be interested in doing the business at all. So one will have to take very hard decisions, have a look at one's own cash flow. Don't try to manufacture the products which are, because when you start, one very important thing is that don't keep it closed. To survive, the show must go on. You cannot say that I'm not going to start my machinery. You will have to try your best to see that your business operations restart. Now, in restarting, you will need money, and that is what I was talking to you about, that try to get as much money in order to restart your activities. Manufacture the products which are fast moving. Maybe there is a lower margin immediately, but for 3-4 months, go in for a product which are fast moving so that the cash cycle starts beginning, and then slowly ease out the product and go into the product which are better for you. So you'll have to really rethink your strategy. You'll have to rethink your entire supply chain, that which supply chain suits me. So it's like starting a new business. 1.5 months period of no business is not a small period, and world over. So if one will have to, cost conscious is another thing. In fact, there is an opportunity. If you want to get rid of certain workers, or if you want to get rid of certain contracts, you can say that now because of COVID, I am not in a position to employ you. Or you convince them to take lower salary, or you can tell that your job specifications will be different, because the fact that you are in a need of worker, even the workers are in need of a job, because they will also find it difficult to find alternate job. They are also income less for 1.5 months. So your entire negotiations, and another thing which will take place once it reopens is that the style of doing business will undergo a change. For instance, we are meeting today over internet, right? Now such things are now this has become so popular. We will find it comfortable. So day after tomorrow or after opening, I will tell Professor Dwivedi that if you want to have a discussion, instead of my coming over to EDI, why don't you give me a Zoom call, or why don't you come on Skype and we will discuss it out. We are getting used to it. So the entire business community will start getting used. Now this will open up very different type of opportunities. Even banking, until the COVID, many people were still using the checks and all. Now they are forced to use internet banking. So tax payments, right, have already become online, and people used to avoid it. They used to go to their chartered accountant to get their taxes paid. Now, since even the chartered accountant offices are closed, he has to make the payment himself. So he has got the experience now. So the entire way of business the entire business cycle is undergoing change. The way of business is undergoing change. And many businesses, mind you, will become redundant or will become very difficult to survive. One of them is, we can see all around, is going to be restaurants. They are going to find it difficult to get the crowd back again. And therefore, so far,
I'll come to
okay,
discuss again on what kinds of businesses are there. Fortunately, we have with us Professor Sunil Shukla, the Director General of EDII. Sir, at this point of time, I have a question for you. Seeing the situation and seeing the change scenario of business operations, change business models, what is your take on that? What would be situation post-COVID? What kind of businesses would come, and how entrepreneurs who are in great dilemma, great difficulty today, how they will come up again?
Thank you. I was listening to Professor Dhruv. Very, very valuable things that you were talking about, these are challenges before any businesses. I mean, how do we run the business? And MSME sector is much more vulnerable than conglomerate, what he has highlighted. We require working capital, we require labor. Labor is leaving. They will not be able to come back any sooner. Difficulties are going to increase manifold. Finance itself is a problem. And the crisis came suddenly towards the fag end of the financial year, when the institutions, organizations, business houses, MSME sector, they were having their own targets to complete. And everybody wanted to complete it as much as they could. And suddenly, all of a sudden, abruptly, this has come. It's going to be very, very challenging, very difficult, not easy to again reboot the economy soon. Certainly it's very, very difficult time ahead. But what Professor Dhruv again said, that there would be new normals, new ways of doing things. The Zoom meeting, today I read that Jio is trying to come up with something at par with the Indian Zoom, or something, an alternative to Zoom. So that is also a business model, a newer opportunity. There could be several such opportunities in information technology or communication field. There could be opportunities in the manufacturing also. Pharmaceutical products, certainly pharmaceutical product, healthcare product will be much in demand. And India can play much important role. We have shown to the world that how India can serve to various nations. I think more than 50 countries that we have supplied hydrochloroquine. So we have proved ourselves. Other than that, I think we can also work on one more sector which is not being talked much, but somehow my own gut feeling says that that will have a favorable market. That's the automobile, auto parts manufacturing. May not be for luxurious cars, but something for the family, compact cars, small cars, because people would avoid traveling in public transport systems. Even this will also lead to second-hand used cars. And related with that, there would be ancillary units, there would be servicing, there would be several such opportunities that will come. Finance will be a difficult proposition altogether. That will be challenging. So I think financial services together with IT services that will come, biotechnology will be there. And if government has to reboot the economy sooner or later, this manufacturing sector, they will have to focus upon. They will have to do something to attract that migrant labor again to the workplace. And once, if construction picks up, probably we'll be able to do that. But construction will pick up not just by construction activities. There should be demand coming from the buyers. And that is the difficulty, that where is the money? When everybody has suffered, from where do they get money? So the banks will have to come up with some solution. The other investors will have to come up, and together they will find out something. So this is what my take is. It's a very, very difficult time. I mean, I can say from our own experience, there are institutions, and the government is advising the institutions and organizations to keep paying the salaries. But from where do they pay? They don't have regular income. Supplies are affected, payments are affected, receivables are increasing, orders are being cancelled, what Professor Dhruv rightly mentioned. So it's very, very challenging, very difficult. But I'm optimistic. Somehow I'm optimistic in resilience of Indians, resilience of Indian entrepreneurs. And that keep me optimistic that yes, we will be able to find some workable solution, which ultimately will be useful for the sector and for all of us. Yes, thank you.
Very, very valid suggestion, sir. At this juncture, I have one question. It is posed by Dr. Sanjeev Chaturvedi. He's asking that can SMEs see overseas operations? Means can they expand overseas operations to make the profit on the right mark? So I would request panelists, Professor Shukla, to answer this question. Means in this turbulent time, SMEs, when SMEs are not operating at their full capacity, to maintain the profit margin in coming quarters, should they think about the overseas operations and how they can attract that market?
The question itself has an answer. And I said that yes, the technology has brought people closer more than ever. And it is the requirement of SME from within the country and outside the country to come together, forge alliances, and work for creating some synergy. So they can work together for not only having manufacturing facilities, but also supply chain, logistics. So I feel that yes, my answer would be favorable. And if that happens, probably that could be one way out for finding solution of this problem. I leave it to Professor Dhruv to, he has a lot of insight on this. Probably he will be able to say it better.
I fully agree with Professor Shukla that it's not all dark. There are very clear signals that we should be in a position to come out of this difficult situation. But we'll have to work very hard for it. As far as international operations and all are concerned, this is an opportunity for India to become a manufacturing hub. No matter what people say, we have so far been able to control COVID very effectively. And if this continues for another 1 or 2 months, this control situation, you relax, but you also continue to monitor. And if some vaccine or a medicine is developed, right, in that case, India will be in a very booming situation. And we should be able to attract investments from world over. And that would be something that you can really look forward to. And our software capabilities will be better exploited even within. And what is coming out is a different type of aggregations which are taking place. Say, for instance, this Zomato and all that, they were very new. Now it will become quite a necessity, as I was telling much earlier. And therefore, some of the softwares which are currently ruling the world, India will be able to come out and should be able to come out with certain such software or certain such business models which can be duplicated world over. So I see that, in fact, this is an opportunity for many MSME to rethink even their entire business model. That whether it is worth continuing in the same business model or with some variation, I can get into something different. There are many ready-made garment manufacturers. They have started now manufacturing the mass, right? And that is becoming this thing. And that demand is going to remain quite some time on. There are many small machine manufacturers. They have also started looking at medical equipment, that how can they make good medical coats, how can they make certain simple devices which are used in hospital. There are many hotels which are thinking of converting themselves into a hospital, because healthcare is going to be a very major. So one should not feel shy to take major decisions if one wants to continue that. जैसे थी सदियों से चली आ रही वैसे वापस इक्विलिब्रियम में आ जाएगा, ऐसा मुझे लगता नहीं है. There will be many changes which you will have to adopt. And like we have seen earthquake, but it was limited only to an area, and then things came back to normal. So many people are wishing that even in this case, once it reopens, once again the life will be same. But doesn't appear to be. This is well over. This is 1.5 months period. It is a continuing period. The effect in fact, we are doing a midterm assessment. Let us see what happens in coming 15 days or 20 days, where the COVID takes us, and how the problem about salaries and the workers going back to their place, whether they would like to come back at all, or sort of we are doing a midterm review and we'll have to keep our eyes and ears constantly open. But as far as the main question is concerned, internationally, India will have a chance, but that's a long haul. First of all, look at what you can do within the country, because even the country where you are trying to do business, that country is also facing similar problems. So you might supply them goods and that money may not come. So uh, I would advise that before you venture into some international export, unless it is a very clear, safe business model, I would venture and give my last penny on my local market and my local this thing. Once I stabilize my foot locally, then I can think in terms of internationally. The one can talk about the medicines which are being exported, correct, but those companies were already very well established locally, and therefore it was not a very difficult call for them to go in for exports. Uh, Openings are going to be many. In fact, let's see whether Ayurveda solutions which people are talking about, whether they become attractive. If they become attractive, then that entire sector is going to open up, because currently Ayurveda and other Ayush medicines are not known and they are not available. So that entire sector of medication, even the medical healthcare industry, is something which is going to see a very major change in days to come. And we might some of our items that we'll have. We'll have to keep a very open mind. How many years in when I look at the securities, that people have a tendency कि ये तो मेरे फादर ने चालू किया तो मैं ये बिजनेस बंद कैसे कर सकूं. Please don't think like that. Look at the current situation. Your father would have also stopped down if he had seen this COVID situation. So you take your decision based upon what is the current position. Don't get emotional, but try to take very uh, to be thrifty is an asset, right? In normal days, we used to spend little lavishly. Now, before spending a rupee, ask, is it a must to spend this rupee? Is the rupee giving me the expected returns or not? So be thrifty, because everyone will have to be, and you have to develop that habit. And secondly, that don't think that business will be as usual after it reopens. It's going to be tougher after it reopens. So if you make the commitment, you take 1 lakh of today and say 1 lakh of rupees surplus I used to make every month before COVID. But now after COVID, you may not be able to make 1 lakh surplus, right? So don't make commitment of repayment based upon your experience only on past. Look what is likely to be the case in your particular scenario, and that too after COVID.
If I can ask a question to Professor Dhruv, some of the leading consultancy firm in the world have done a study across the world, and they came up with the conclusion that 46% of the entrepreneurs and CFOs, CEOs indicated that post-lockdown, post-COVID scenario, there will be more of automation. And if we assume that that same kind of strategy is applicable to some extent, may not be 46%, maybe some lesser percentage to the context of MSMEs. So MSMEs will also be going for automation like artificial intelligence, IoT, and all kind of things.
Yes.
So do you believe that from the point of view of the finance and financial institutions and banks, it is a new business opportunity for them, new model for financing to the MSMEs growth in terms of technology?
Absolutely. And moment you go towards automation, your capital cost increases and your working capital requirement may come down because more production will come out. Means efficiency of turnaround of money will be faster, but your capex increases. So automation के लिए you need more capital and more loan. And whether the market will be able to sustain larger production or not, there is question. Number two, whether your labor laws will be flexible enough for you to reduce the strength. In fact, I really wonder that labor is ample, right? There is a lot of supply, the demand is less, and still the government make labor more costly. Now, if I've got excess of one particular item, I'm going to reduce the price of that particular product. I'm going to make that product more easily available. Here you have got ample of labor, and government is trying to make labor more costly, trying to make labor once you hire and fire. So we'll have to really look at our labor laws. Otherwise, the MSME sector will really suffer because the minimum wages are also set at such a high level. And if you really go into it, one will have to really look at. Uh, but automation will increase like nobody's business. Information technology will increase, robotics will increase. Um, the entire method of distribution will increase. You may not prefer now going to a Shakwala and buy Shak. You would rather log into and say that I want 2 kilo of potato and 3 kilo of brinjal. Delivery come and we'll give you that particular. So visiting the shops will come down. Visiting the restaurants will come down. Netflix, large screen TV, your place will virtually reduce. So the connection between people will be less and less. If I take a little romantic picture, people will become more like robots rather than it will be so much of automation which is likely. If you should read Yuval Noah, who has predicted something very similar in his book of History of Future, that in days to come, the human element will be used more as a manufacturing input and uh, the social and emotional aspects will be coming down. But coming back to the brass tacks of business, you are absolutely right, Sanjay sir, that automation is going to take place. Sunil sir very rightly pointed out that the type of vehicle will undergo a change. The design of vehicle, smaller car, the size of nano, because people would not like to use public transport. I really wonder what will happen in Bombay, where without public transport the city cannot function, and people will be afraid to board the trains, and they'll be afraid to board the jam-packed buses. So they would try sort of the you will have to slowly remove the fear of COVID. If you want to restart the economy, you'll have to slowly remove the fear of COVID. Tell people to live with COVID, and COVID is not so dangerous. Wait for a month or two, and perhaps some medicine will come out. But if you want to restart the economy with fear of COVID, I am telling you, is going to be more and more difficult.
Sir, you mentioned in your talk about the surplus, which is, of course, of the prime and the very, very important aspect of any SME, any enterprise, in fact. Surplus basically is the outcome of price and cost. And cost, cost is increasing like anything post-COVID would increase. That is the prediction. How to reduce cost is very important question against every SME, every venture. So can you highlight some points how they can reduce the cost in terms of inventory, working capital, interest, and all? Because that is basically they would like to know.
There are a couple of things you can do. First of all is remove the fat. As far as inventory is concerned, try to keep only just the necessary inventory. Don't try to keep excessive inventory. Improve the efficiency, and that's where the automation will come. They try to see that the business cycle moves fast. Improve the efficiency of your people. Third is that as far as your transactions and your dealings are concerned, try to incentivize quick payments. Don't rely or don't try to jack up the price and give credit. You are not money lender. You are not in business of money lending. You are in business of manufacturing and selling at a margin. Many people, many companies, they take advantage of giving credit, and that is indirect way of lending. That is not the way. Try to so how to cut cost is you will have to be first of all conscious about cost. That is very important. Now, many a times you find that companies working only for one shift. Why don't you use it for the second shift also, or you rent it to someone to use it for one shift? At least two shift can start, or so you will have to question. In fact, zero-based budgeting concept will come into picture, that you question every cost and look at the outcome of incurring a particular cost. That is the only way you'll be able to absolute awareness and consciousness, and look at your fixed cost and variable cost. Instead of owning a property, people prefer taking it on rent. If my shop is on rent, tomorrow I can say I'm going back. That's another model. That without owning a property, the entire taxi model which is coming is not owning any asset. There's another model altogether. You don't have a single car and still you run tens of thousands of cars in a city. By so managing your working capital, try to see that your money is not locked up in your business cycle. Try to see that someone's money is also being used and he is given return. So business cycles will have to be rethought of and redesigned in order to reduce the finance cost. So these are some, of course, the obvious things are that you reduce, give incentives and things like that. But basically, reduce your overheads. You'll have to reduce your overhead, and you'll have to reduce your, in fact, all costs, including variable costs. You'll have to, and make it in prices. Make the price so attractive so that the cycle runs faster. That's about it.
So, of course, you are trying to say that business models will emerge in different ways, and SMEs are very, very much required to think about new business models where they can be lean and they can go for more efficiency. At the same time, there is also a question how these financial institutions will support post COVID-19 the SME sector, because they are the prime supporters of SME division. And seeing the situation, they are also not performing so well in this situation. So what will be the scenario post COVID-19 in terms of financial institutions?
I see a very bad, I'm sorry, but anything which I react to tends to go more towards gloomier side. But the position of the bankers is bad because more NPAs will come. You have to redefine NPAs. You have to put a, say, 6 months moratorium that don't disturb. If a unit is working and is employing people, allow him to operate. Don't penalize him. That is because bankers, on the other hand, don't have money. There will be more, their cash flow will suffer. In fact, I think that because of the burden of repayment and interest and penalty and things like that, there will be lesser takers. People will think in terms of doing business without borrowing. And that is what the bankers have started experiencing now, that the borrowers are difficult to find because they will start wondering why to borrow and take the headache. I would rather have a smaller operation, but I don't want to take, because in 2:1 borrowing and 12 to 13% interest, that means 6% on an average. That means that out of your surplus, banker becomes a major partner. You are doing virtually a job for the banker. You are toiling yourself in order to make the banker earn his interest. In many cases, so you will have to, the government will have to think in terms of that the burden of interest is reduced on the MSME sector and the repayment is made more easier. Say, 10 to 12% rate of interest is very difficult to bear when you are trying to leverage it high. If you are doing a low leverage, say 1 rupee against of capital, you are borrowing less than 1 rupee is another matter. But when you are aiming for the sky at the 2:1 and 3:1 debt to equity ratio, and if the interest is high and the risk is high, you are in for it. You are in for a very bad situation. So I think the good consultants will advise people not to depend upon borrowing because the something similar to COVID might reappear. Who knows? And MSME are generally the first generation entrepreneurs and things like that. They would not like to lose what all that they have collected. So it will be difficult for the bankers to motivate good entrepreneurs to borrow. The entrepreneurs who will go forward to borrow will be the entrepreneurs who have got slightly flexible idea about repayment, and they are high risk taking, and they are thinking that something good will happen, I'll repay. There are jugadu people might perhaps prefer to borrow. Otherwise, good entrepreneurs will shy away from borrowing. That's what I think. So things will be even more difficult for the bankers. And believe me, in most of the bad loans, I have been arguing that the bankers knew right from the beginning the entire details of the business, and they have been monitoring the particular unit. And when the unit goes bad, you are blaming only the borrower. In fact, even the bankers are equally at fault if a loan goes bad, and sort of they can't sort of leave aside the big fat 10 names which are coming at the top. But even at the officer level, the responsibility has to be fixed if a loan goes bad. So the bankers will have to be more answerable. But that's another matter altogether. Currently, the bankers can help, but they can help only if the government backs them up. If the government will have to, otherwise bankers on their own, they have no surpluses to give as far as the balance sheets are concerned. They have, in fact, they are looking for good borrowing opportunities.
Proposals.
But
Yes.
proposals. They are desperately looking for it, but they are not finding one because the good borrowers are not coming forward. So you'll have
At
to
this
make
juncture, I
your
have
terms attractive.
At this juncture, I have very good, very relevant question, very much connected with the point you have raised. That would the new different kind of collaborations and joint ventures would come post COVID-19, where SMEs will collaborate together and will go for different business models. This is a question, I think, very, very much relevant question, that two different kinds of entities will work together to go in the market and to attract more customers. I would go with the Dr. Shukla to discuss about to answer this question.
I think I have already discussed that, yes, there are possibilities for collaborations. You can certainly do it. But after listening to Professor Dhruv, I see another opportunity for an institute like ours to announce a program for bankers. How do we assess an entrepreneur? EDI has been offering this program. EDI has some instruments and certain programs in its kitty. It was mentioned by SL Kapoor Committee also on banking reform. So we have one such program, assessing an entrepreneur. So probably it would be worthwhile to mention that we offer with this program that how do we assess a good borrower. Every banker requires a good borrower. And at the same time, what you mentioned, that good borrowers are shying away from financial institutions, from borrowings. So, but they both require each other. So how do we act as an instrument in this matchmaking? That will be the need of the hour. But yes, please.
I think it's a very valid point, Shukla Sahab, you have taken out, because that is the need of the hour. And even the entrepreneurs should take advantage of institute like EDI. I'm not marketing EDI, I was thinking of that time, but some such established institutions to have a relook at its own self. It is like doing your own body scanning as far as the business is concerned, and look at your strengths, weaknesses, and then project and this thing. And bankers certainly do need to do a lot of homework, and they need a lot of training. Uh, and that is the need of the hour. That is the need of the hour for them.
One small sentence to make. Earlier, you were telling that people will have to look at the cost, every penny that they spend, reduce
Yes.
overheads. So, in the name of reducing overheads, reducing costs, the first casualty might be human resources. Uh, that would be very, very unfortunate because organizations grow on the basis of the strength of human resources. And in this situation, probably it would be a mistake on the part of entrepreneurs or enterprises to cut costs on human resources, because we have to keep their morale, motivation. Of course, we should look at our financials, but it would be very challenging on the part of enterprises to keep the morale and motivation of the human resources intact despite looking at the cost and removing overheads. So this will be again a very, very challenging for them, and one has to be very careful. So something, if you can advise on this, this is my question to you, that how do we balance that?
Uh, I would look at human resources into categories. Category A, category B. There are certain skilled, certain senior, certain trustworthy people, certain experienced people you need to keep, and that is an asset. Uh, and whether human resources is an asset or a liability is a huge question. So you'll have to take out the assets, and the rest are neither asset nor liability, but rest are needed. That's about it. So you will have to, the way you said that you need a program for the bankers, how to assess the right borrower, an entrepreneur will also need some program or some understanding how to identify the right employee whom to retain, and which type of employee. That assessment, because human employing a person is becoming very costly as far as the wages are concerned, as far as their entitlements are concerned. Even large organizations, they don't employ people. They will tell some third party to supply manpower, right? And therefore, you'll have to make some reasonable compromise, the government in labor laws, to see that employing people is not uh, turned into a liability, even the common. So it's a huge issue. On politically, also it will have implications. But uh, to retain people is not an easy thing. And having given him training, having given him exposure, if that person walks out or you throw him out just to save cost, is something which is not. If you look at some successful businesses, one of their strength is their loyal employees for decades and decades. They have been, they become more like a family member. That is used to be the style of functioning that the Indian business model would talk about. So, uh, but they will also have to be a bit reasonable as far as their expectations, monetary expectations are concerned. So you'll have to link their reward to the performance of the company. And I think reward to good employees with the performance of the company, if that is tied up, then to retain them for long will not be difficult if the company performs well. But if the company does not perform well, it will be difficult for you to retain such people because their reward will not be sufficient. So, ultimate proof of the pudding is that you show good performance and reward the good employees, but it does not mean that every employee is an incarnation of God for me, right? There are certain employees which are required and certain employees are necessary. That's
And
you
moreover,
have to take out.
it is employees' responsibility also to remain relevant and contribute to the organizational institution.
Exactly.
Very, very.
It is, yes,
Thank you.
because we have experienced this 1.5 months work from home, but they don't know how to operate computer. वो क्या काम करेगा?
बिल्कुल सही है.
तो work from home क्या करेगा वो? So if they don't remain, and that is not the duty of the organization to see that. Of course, we can provide them training, but they will have to show some enthusiasm to remain relevant. Organization should sponsor 50%. The balance 50% he will have to do, or he will have to work hard. He'll have to put in some efforts. Otherwise, many people say that, I was willing to learn. You should have sent me to training program. That is not the answer. Learning computer in the office, you can go to some colleague who is your friend and tell him, you teach me how to work on Excel or how to work on Word or something. That initiative you don't want to take. And then when work from home is concerned, you are not able to do the work. And then you are wanting to blame the organization that you did not provide me training. That is something bad. Such employees are different. Okay, I would say different. And there are certain employees whom you have to retain.
Right.
So there is a question by one of the viewers, Dr. Ambarish Upadhyay. He's asking that whether industrial sickness needs to be defined again in this situation, because this is entirely different situation. This came, I don't know when the situation was like this earlier, but do we need again a new definition for sickness? Because almost every industry is sick.
Yes, in fact, I'm insolvency professional. Over last 2-3 years, the definition of sickness has undergone a change. Earlier in the SICA regime, it used to be negative net worth or 50% of net worth, then you were informed. So it used to be more of a paperwork calculation of sickness. Now, sickness or no sickness, default is the catching point. Have you defaulted on your contract? Have you defaulted on your repayment? And if the default has continued, you are deemed to be, even if you are having huge profits or whatever, if you are defaulted, then you are sick as far as whatever is concerned. So now that definition of sick has gone, and therefore government has wisely relaxed the requirement of Insolvency Act. They said for 1 year it is there is a moratorium. Number one. Number two, that earlier even there is a due of 1 lakh of rupee, you can knock the door for insolvency proceeding against the unit. Now that limit has been increased to 1 crore, and that is so. Such actions will have to be taken. Bankers will be told not to prosecute at least for 6 months or 1 year, and allow the default to be stagnant. Don't make any further default, but try to keep them stagnant. Even income tax, they are thinking of stalling for 6 months. So such actions are required to be taken, and I'm sure will be taken. Government is quite seized and possessed of this requirement. The only thing government needs to be seized and possessed very importantly is that whether the entire wages to all the people are required to be paid for the month of April, or there should be a threshold that basic plus DA should be preserved. Over and above that, it is up to the liquidity position of the company. Otherwise, the MSME sector will find it difficult. कुछ भी करके अप्रैल का सैलरी देंगे, मई के अंदर तो खलास हो जाएंगे.
There is one more question based on the discussion that we had, posed by Mr. Ishan Panjwani. He's asking that for bringing automation, SMEs are not having enough funds. And will banks support these automation processes in MSMEs?
Yes, the bank of course will, if they will look at that whether there is sufficient profit and the justification for automation is there. Bank will certainly support automation. They will certainly support automation. In fact, That is what the trade unions and all are saying, that employments are coming down. That is a age-old argument of trade unions. But automation is something which is being supported, which will continue to be supported. Even construction work, you will find that the entire method of raising a building has undergone a change. You get half building is made on the ground floor by way of, and then it is erected. So a lot of things are undergoing a change. There also automation has come. So automation is bound to come and will be encouraged. I'm sure about it. Bankers will do well to encourage that.
So,
One point is mergers and acquisition, which you referred to, is going to come in a big way. There will be, in fact, a raid over good MSME units in financial difficulty by the tycoons who are waiting to grab good industrial units in our country. It is from certain countries, it has become very popular, but many countries have started doing that. Many business sharks are looking at it. Persons sitting with piles of money, they are looking at, yes, the economies are bad. Let's catch hold of a good unit with good business model, but financial crisis. Let us buy them over. You can strike a deal, and there will be huge openings for that. One will have to be open about it, and nothing wrong if you join hands.
So we are already, it is 6 now. We have to conclude it now. I'll take final quotes from panelists, and then we'll conclude the session. How SMEs would be benefited after this discussion? That will that kind of quote I would like to listen from you. So, and then we'll conclude the session.
If I start off, it's going to be tough, but it's a great opportunity for the startups. The startups will have an opening to think afresh, right? Instead of getting trouble after starting, it is time for them to rethink, relook at the models. MSMEs will have to work very hard to survive. And I'm sure, as Professor Shukla very rightly pointed out, that we have the faith in the resilience of Indian entrepreneur, and we will see the light of the day very clearly. Thank you.
I would like,
Thank you.
Professor Shukla, sir?
yeah, I would like to add one more point is that the requirement of business development services from the point of view of the MSMEs, from the point of view of the banker, from the point of view of other actors in the supply chain might increase. For example, the SME or MSMEs will be requiring what kind of product diversification opportunities they can think of, what kind of, how they should manage the cash flow. The bankers need training, as a DG Sir EDI mentioned. Even for technology upgradation or automation, then they will be requiring different kind of services, and the role of EDI will be more important, as Professor Dhruv also mentioned, that EDI can play an important role in providing different range of business development services, helping MSMEs to survive, to grow, to expand, to diversify, to go for export marketing. On also the bankers, that so far the banking training program for banker is concerned, and also SMEs to go for export marketing. So this kind of services, the demand side and supply side will increase significantly and seriously.
Professor Shukla.
Fine, I think Professor Dhruv has said it very well. I have nothing more to add. So I look forward to the spirit of enterprises and entrepreneurs. I'm sure that they will meet with this challenge.
Thank you. So,
Amit Bhai. Thank you, Amit Bhai.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Shukla, Professor Dhruv, Professor Sanjay Pal. And I'm also thankful to India SME Forum for coordinating the whole show. And I hope everybody who has joined this show learned and would be benefiting a lot. And see this COVID-19, post-COVID-19, everybody will start from zero. And whoever will take the lead will be the winner. So this is a time where everybody is on the same page, and SMEs need to think big and they have to start, and that the whole world is for India, and we can achieve many, many highs. Thank you very much for participating. Thank you very much for listening us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.